Hello again. It's Matthew here. I have returned to once again speak on behalf of the creator of this channel, aka Personal Project Workshop. Before we begin, I wanted to mention that it is highly recommended you watch my last video first. Now that it's taken care of, I have a confession to make. Since my previous video, I have contacted a few professionals and gotten numerous tips on how to improve my video's quality, because if you didn't notice, or even watch it, my last video had its flaws, such as. With those in mind, I endeavored to make up for my mistakes and create another, better video. Oh, and one last thing, while making the last video, I realized that jumping around while talking is tiresome. Therefore, I would like to introduce you to my new assistant, Andrew the office chair. Now, I won't have to jump around anymore. Anyway, back to the video. If you've read the title, then you probably have an idea of what will be going on. In this video, I will tell you how to write a personal project report. I know what you're thinking, but you haven't even discussed how to choose, plan, and execute the personal project. But you know what? These should be the least of your worries. The only thing you really have to worry about at this stage is how to make it look good on your report, as the only thing that really affects your grade is, you guessed it, your report. Of course, there are a few important details, but you will hear about them soon enough. Wow, this took so long, and we haven't even touched on the main topic. Let's fix that. So, starting off, let's quickly discuss the criteria used to grade your report and measure your success. There are 3 criteria, A, B, and C, each of which has its own sections. Let's start with Criterion A. In Criterion A, Planning, there are 3 sections you have to be aware of. I. State a learning goal for the project and explain how a personal interest led to that goal. I. State an intended product and develop appropriate success criteria for the product. I. Present a clear, detailed plan for achieving the product and its associated success criteria. In the first section, it is basically you stating what you want to learn. Note that your learning goal must be measurable. If you want to get the best mark, however, you will need to directly connect that with your interests in a very detailed way. A good way of doing that is by first giving some background on your interests and where they came from, bonus points if you show some evidence, then talking about how you came up with your idea, preferably by pursuing your interests, and finally linking it with a nice, concise statement, so no digressions. In the second section, you state what you want to produce and then decide how you're going to rate that product. The product is simply anything that will let you show your learning goal. Basically, to get a good mark, you will need to state a product and then come up with multiple, 5 is enough, detailed success criteria, which you will use to measure your success in creating the product. To do that, you should explain the success criteria in greater detail, state how you're going to test them, and give reasons for choosing these specific criteria. It's very good to back it up with research. For choosing your criteria, you may want to look for those online first. Your product may already have success criteria. For example, animation success criteria can be found by searching for judging criteria for animation competitions, which could save you a lot of hustle. The third and last section requires you to make a plan that you are going to follow to achieve the product goal. You should make an action plan at the very beginning of your personal project, so all you'd have to do is paste it into your report and make it more readable, so the assessor can easily understand what your action plan is. Creating a table, chart, or anything that improves readability is recommended. Of course, your plan can change slightly, but don't worry about that as much. Modifying it slightly won't cause too many problems. It should also contain references to time and due dates. For example, I will do something about my weird head before December. That is Criterion A taken care of. Now for Criterion B. The Criterion B, aka Applying Skills. It has only 2 sections, which are I. Explain how the ATL skills were applied to help achieve their learning goal. I. Explain how the ATL skills were applied to help achieve their product. Both the first section and the second section are rather similar, but there is a key difference that must be noted in Criterion B. When talking about ATL skills you use throughout your project, you must make it clear which skills helped you achieve your learning goal and which assisted you with achieving your product. Anyway, this criterion is all about explaining how specific ATL skills helped you reach your goals and providing evidence or detailed examples for using the aforementioned ATL skills. So basically, to get the top marks, don't just write, thinking skills helped me with choosing the best option. Write, I used critical thinking skills to differentiate biased reviews from objective ones, which helped me make a better choice. How you approach the rest is up to you. Here, you have way more freedom over what and how you write. The last criterion is Criterion C, reflecting. It has 2 sections, which state that the student should be able to I. Explain the impact of the project on themselves or their learning. I. Evaluate the product based on the success criteria. In the first section, it's a good idea to talk about your learning goal. How did it go? Did you meet it or not? What impact did it have on you, etc. A good way of doing this is by comparing yourself from before the project with yourself after the project. What did you learn? How do you feel about the project? But don't limit yourself to your learning goal. Reflect on what IB learner profile attributes and ATL skills you developed throughout the project. This section, just like in Criterion B, is not as restrictive, and you can write anything as long as it is related to your project. The second section is about your product goal. First of all, to effectively evaluate the product, you must compare it with the product success criteria you came up with in Criterion A. Therefore, if you want a high mark, compare what you had in mind with what came out at the end. Determine to what degree were the success criteria met, and then go into detail about each success criterion. If you failed to reach it, you can discuss how you could improve and what could have been done to prevent it. On the other hand, if you exceeded your expectations, you can talk about how you managed to do that. Providing evidence for the features of the product that you are discussing may also help. And that sums it up. This video's script is way longer than expected, and I still haven't covered everything in detail. Actually, it was just barely scratching the surface, but I hope I gave you the idea nonetheless. If you're curious about the details, there is a web page containing a video that probably has most of the most important information presented in a very concise and accessible way. I will add a link to this web page in the video's description. Anyways, thanks for watching, and don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe.